Yes, good afternoon, everybody. We're here at the Garden City Lands in Richmond. This is a 136-acre parcel that the city had bought. The reason we're doing this video here is to provide some preview background to some upcoming videos. We currently have an issue in Richmond whereby the civic elections will be commencing October 20th. That's less than about 3 to 4 weeks from now. What's happened in Richmond is the issue of what they would call ALR house size limits. It seems that there's a group of people that have taken issue with some of the houses that were built. These houses were not built illegally. They were built according to the current rules and regulations in place, and albeit there's no doubt that some of the homes are quite large, but the problem is the city has decided to capitulate to some of these people and reduce the house sizes. Now, the city, to its credit, did address it once, but apparently some vocal citizens were still against the original limits, which were approximately 11,000 square foot homes on properties over a pure half acre. So these people wanted to revisit the issue, and council, by my recollection, is a vote of I think it was 7. Let's see now. 3 councillors voted to review the issue. The remaining council decided no, the issue has been dealt with, and they felt that it's fair to the people that are farmers and the other ALR property owners that to leave the status quo. However, in the civic election, it seems that this will be a major issue. These people wish to revisit it, and it's gotten to the point where even the provincial government says it may become involved in the issue, and it will deem the house size throughout the province as it's currently stood. The local governments, at their discretion, decided what the limits were. This creates uncertainty and I think an unfairness. I believe the ALR property owners are not being represented. There seem to be demonized as owing society something, when it's probably, I think what's happened now is the ALR property owners and the farmers are starting to push back. I think they've had enough of this issue and now wish to address it, and that's part of the democratic process. So the issue, I think, has been dealt with. Why these parties are hell-bent on reducing the house sizes even further is really more of a sign of probably not very well educated on the issue. There is no correlation, I think, between house size and the farmability of land. So what I'll probably do now is I'll sort of give a brief history of the ALR as to my understanding. My understanding was inspired by the very parcel we were standing on, and filming. The city of Richmond had attempted to purchase this land back in the 2000s, early mid 2000s. It created a lot of interest in the community, and I took it upon myself to do some more research because I found more questions than answers being provided. But I think for my research, I've got a better handle on what this is all about. Now, a brief overview of the ALR was it was created in the NDP government in the early 70s. I think there's a misunderstanding on determining ALR property. They did not walk around with a magic stick or some kind of scientific device and poke every square foot of ALR land and deemed it whether it should be ALR or not. The truth of the matter is, and this is from a discussion with ALC staff, that the NDP government went through each local government in BC and determined if they had land zoned agriculture, AG. And so if you had that AG designation, then there was a few other issues to be dealt with. But if you had the AG designation on land in your jurisdiction, then that was going to be brought into the ALR fold, okay? And the ALR was not the original wording of it. It was called land reserve, and agriculture was added later. Part of the history too was the NDP were considering a industrial land reserve, but they never got to that point. It was a short-term government. Now, if we turn over towards the Lansdowne property here, this is another example. This is a good pertinent example. Where those towers are was once the Lansdowne racetrack. There's 80 acres that were from Garden City to Number 3 Road, and from Lansdowne to Alderbridge. Now, they were AG zoned at the time, but why weren't they in the ALR? Because at the time, the lands were going to be developed into what was now the Lansdowne Mall. And a little bit of also a side history is the Woodward's developers only wanted 50 of the 80 acres. So they actually offered the city 30 acres on this end of the block, on the Garden City end. And the city did not wish to, obviously did not wish to retain ownership. They basically, I guess, sold it to developers, and this is what happened. But other than that, we could have had a 30-acre park over there. So that's a little bit of the history now. Now, back to the housing issue, I say this is becoming very divisive with the various properties in Richmond and people's wishes to build large homes. I think the record size home in Richmond was in the high 30 to 40,000 square feet. But regardless of the property size, the properties of now greater than a half acre, pure half acre, or about 11,000 square feet. That applies whether you have a pure half acre, 1 acre, 10 acres, 100 acres. Your house size is maxed out at that. Now, I think what should concern us during the election is these people, these candidates. I'm sure they mean well, but that can also be famous last words, because I don't think they really understand the issue. They do not own ALR land. They just feel this is a motherhood issue, and that if we stop large homes, that'll correlate to more affordable farmland, which has not been the correlation. I actually talked to a Richmond farmer during some of the council meetings on the house size issue, and I asked them, at what point in time did you feel that an average person could afford to buy a farm, or when was that opportunity basically gone? In other words, if you didn't inherit the farm from your family, your parents, your grandparents, great-grandparents, he basically said it was about the 1970s was the point that really a person trying to buy amount of farmland was basically priced out of the market. So that's something that happened 40 years ago. Now fast forward to now, the house size issue is again being regurgitated, and many people are feeling betrayed, isolated, and sort of left out of the loop. So I think with this video and upcoming ones, what we're going to do is we're going to go into a little bit more detail so people have an understanding of the issue, and that at least the people in the ALR side feel they do have advocates. Many of us are in the same boat, and once they have an understanding, then they can address the problem with knowledge is power. So I think once we get into that facet and maybe discuss it a bit more, I think ultimately the ALR should be challenged, but not in a mean and vindictive way. I think it's healthy to have it brought to the table, have people on the same page, and make well-informed decisions. And that's what our concern is at the upcoming civic elections, is there will be people that are going to wave the motherhood flag and really not, it makes one question, if they do get onto council, how are they going to look at other issues? Is this the only issue they feel that is important? And if they get in, once they get into become councillors, are they going to make wise decisions on other issues? This is the concern. These people are sort of left themselves exposed as being ill-informed and ill-equipped for public office. So again, we will conclude this right now as we see a plane come over, and hopefully this will get people more involved. Follow this video series. We're going to be doing a lot more, and please feel free to comment in the comment sections. because this needs to be addressed. Okay, this is a 40-year-old issue, which is, I think, is just really full of holes and misunderstandings. It's sort of a stagnant thing that should be revisited and re-energized, if nothing else, so that we can perhaps separate the wheat from the chaff. What is the good farmland? What is the bad farmland? Not just sit there, which has always been my suspicion, that the local governments do not want to tackle this because of the huge liability would be, because ultimately ALR land designation basically depreciates your property without compensation. So we'll leave it at that for now, and we'll continue soon.